It's a violent 1960s kids show full of people being killed in all manner of gruesome ways as the result of a war of nerves between the peoples of Earth and Mars. Hang on a minute, is that a puppet? What the hell? They're all puppets. I never realised. Jesus Christ, they're all puppets.
Yes, it's obviously been done by professionals.
Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons. The Andersons, sworn enemies of actors, possessing the ability to recreate an exact likeness of an object or person. But first they must destroy. I mean, sorry to harp on about this, but when did you realise they were marionette puppets? What do you mean 1967?
If this is some sort of joke, Lieutenant.
Gerry and Sylvia Anderson, along with Reg Hill and John Reed, had been making puppet adventure series since the late 50s, with each new series becoming more and more sophisticated in terms of storytelling, characterization, design, and blowing things up. It was with their third series, Supercar, which started AP Films on its course, which combined adventure with slightly futuristic vehicles, all achieved with marionettes and models. These were cheekily dubbed Supermarionation and were huge smashes with audiences. Supercar was followed by Fireball XL5, Stingray, and their biggest success, Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds are go!
That show was a phenomenon in the UK, but without a sale to a US network, AP Films owner Lou Grade decided not to proceed with more episodes of Thunderbirds. This was in the days before Netflix would rescue a series just so they could cancel it themselves.
Easy, Tintin. It's all over now.
AP Films, now rebranded as Century 21, had already expanded their production capacity to handle multiple productions, like that episode of The Love Boat where Dom DeLuise is dating two women at once. And so, while some of the crew were making Thunderbirds feature films, a new TV series was on the cards. Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons begins with the first manned mission to Mars, with astronauts discovering a city, but unfortunately mistake alien technology as weaponry and open fire, destroying the city, which pisses off the inhabitants just a smidge. They are known as the Mysterons, and they sound a bit like a man with enormous testicles and a head cold.
This is the voice of the Mysterons. We know that you can hear us, Earthmen.
These guys can rebuild their city instantly thanks to their power of retro-metabolism, which is some space magic bullshit. Even so, they are still pissed off, and they announce to the humans that they will exact revenge on Earth, but not with an instant nuclear strike, but will slowly needle the humans with half-baked conspiracies, poorly thought-out warnings that contain a wealth of clues, and of course a reconstructed human agent, Captain Black, who looks like he hasn't slept ever since they built that fourth Starbucks within 50 meters of his house. These days the Mysterons could just broadcast their bullshit warnings via a YouTube video with the words "The Truth" appearing in capital letters in the title. In order to fight the Mysteron threat, the humans have built a semi-secret organization known as Spectrum, with color-coded operatives led by Colonel White from their floating base in the clouds, imaginatively titled Cloud Base. Under Colonel White, there's a flat hierarchy with Captain Blue, Captain Brown, Captain Ochre, Captain Indigo, Captain Pink, Captain Magenta, Dr. Fawn, Captain Grey, Lieutenant Green, and of course, Captain Scarlet.
Leading the fight, one man fate has made indestructible. His name, Captain Scarlet.
Cloud Base also houses a complement of female fighter pilots, the Angels.
This is an official meeting, not the Folie Bergère.
Codenamed Destiny Angel, Harmony Angel, Rhapsody Angel, Melody Angel, and Symphony Angel. Not shown, Diss Track Angel.
Captain Scarlet, is anything wrong?
I don't know. I just have a feeling that we're in danger.
Every episode would begin with a new Mysteron threat underway, with a mysterious warning broadcast to Spectrum. Captain Black and the Mysterons would engineer someone's often brutal death, or a vehicle's destruction, and using their power, they would recreate a live duplicate of the corpse or the vehicle that they controlled, and used in their latest plot, which was usually to blow something up, or kill someone, or steal something important, or all of the above. Spectrum would have to figure out the Mysteron plot before Captain Scarlet dies at the end of every episode. What do you mean he dies at the end of every episode? I thought this was a kid's show.
Are you all right?
I will be, Captain. I will be.
In the very first episode, Captain Scarlet was killed and reconstructed by the Mysterons in their first revenge fantasy plot, but for whatever reason, it doesn't take.
this Captain Scarlet is now indestructible, that he will become our greatest asset in the fight against the Mysterons.
There is also no truth to scurrilous rumours about Spectrum personnel having a variety of nicknames for Captain Deadmeat.
Adam, for pity's sake!
Captain Scarlet's persona is one of quiet heroism. He sounds suspiciously like Cary Grant.
It's no joke, Colonel. He's obviously not responsible for his actions.
And since he can die and come back to life, soon finds he has amassed a huge fortune from his life insurance policy. Like all marionette heroes, he's well hung, but that's no help.
No, Earthman. It is you who have lost.
He can feel pain, but if he was going to come back to life anyway, they figured there was no point in putting a cast on a broken leg, just put a bullet in his head and start again. Spectrum would send Captain Scarlet on all of their really dangerous missions, mainly because they could save a fortune on things like gas masks, safety harnesses, seatbelts, smoke detectors, warning lights, fire extinguishers, brakes, that sort of thing. Captain Scarlet's best mate is Captain Blue, who's clearly the brains of the outfit, and while he's brave, he knows enough to let Captain Scarlet volunteer for certain death, and also because the series wasn't named after him. If it was, one slip of the tongue from a continuity announcer would have meant early cancellation for Captain Blue the Mysterons.
Thanks to Captain Scarlet. Did they find the body?
Yes, we've taken his, body back to Cloud Base.
Lieutenant Green is the keen lieutenant who gets stuck at Cloud Base getting coffee for Colonel White.
Why don't they attack? Why don't the Mysterons attack?
Steady, Lieutenant. Steady, man.
White is a tough cookie, ruthless, and not above sending Captain Scarlet into missions which may mean certain death.
As I said, this assignment is on a volunteer basis.
I'm ready to go, sir.
Count me in, sir.
Thank you, Captain. I know I can rely on you.
The glamorous angels provide air cover in most episodes, though they sometimes individually play a role in the plots of some episodes. If you've seen any of the other Supermarionation series, you could be forgiven for thinking it's a bunch of thinly written stereotypes with goofy jokes in amongst the wildly impractical bases filled with massive hydraulic lifts. Captain Scarlet plays everything deadly seriously, with a joke or two, but without the playful atmosphere of Thunderbirds. Captain Scarlet's limited humour is more of a wink, rather than nudging you in the shoulder and shouting, "Get it?" The plots are reasonably engaging, and most of the episodes feature lengthy action scenes with Anderson and Company's trademark visual effects, fantastic model work that wouldn't be eclipsed by other British fantasy series until CG effects had well and truly matured. Like most Anderson series, there are lots of vehicles, but here they are much less the focus than before. Spectrum has Cloud Base, but it just hangs there, like the Mona Lisa, but with fewer gawping tourists. The Angels have the Interceptor fighters, and Spectrum personnel have the use of company cars known as Spectrum Saloon cars for normal use, and for missions they can requisition an SPV or Spectrum Pursuit Vehicle from secret locations around the world so that Captain Scarlet can get to his certain death even faster. Captain Blue's nicknamed the SPV as the Spectrum Pizza Vehicle, but Captain Scarlet doesn't get the joke.
Well, Colonel, I am due for 48 hours furlough in Miami.
While we see their agents, the Mysterons themselves are never seen, only heard. And when we hear them, it's to bitch over and over about Earth's unprovoked attack on their base.
You started this war of nerves.
Which, with their powers of undo, means there's almost no way the Mysterons can be defeated. But since they can just magic up a replacement for everything, their ongoing war of nerves does make them come across as a bunch of drama queens.
It will mean the ultimate destruction of life on Earth.
But on the other hand, if you went to a store run by Mysterons and bought a big screen TV but found it was defective, their no questions asked replacement warranty does sound very appealing. Of course, you could try getting a full refund instead, but they do charge a bullshit restocking fee. Like most of Anderson's series, Captain Scarlet has a great score from composer Barry Gray.
The Mysterons, sworn enemies of Earth.
Scarlet's opening titles were a departure from the usual, as they were slow and tense, covered by moody background music, sound, and an ominous voiceover from Ed Bishop. The music in Captain Scarlet often has a martial feel, familiar to Thunderbirds viewers, but the end credits were topped by an upbeat pop sound, with around half the episodes featuring a vocal version, with the intention that it would be released as a single, but never was.
They crash in, and his body may burn.
The The end credits are set to beautiful paintings which detail all the ways Captain Scarlet's life sucks. He's drowning, falling off a building, a deadly snake, falling out of a moving car, trapped under rocks just out of reach of dynamite, weighted down and surrounded by sharks, in a room with giant metal spikes closing in on itself, crushed by crates, squashed by a tank, about to be engulfed by a firestorm while hiding behind barrels marked with the word danger. I mean, I don't need to draw you a diagram since Century 21 already has.
They're a formidable adversary, but we must continue the fight.
It used to be that having regular characters in jeopardy was hard to make exciting since Cluey viewers knew that the lead actors would always be back next week. Anderson originally wanted to have a star in the first episode and kill them, just to show that it was possible. When that idea went down like the Roswell UFO carrying Amelia Earhart, Anderson's next idea was to have a hero who always died. It's the sort of idea that if you threw it out to a writer, they would tell you the obvious within a few seconds. Where's the drama if he's just going to die every episode anyway? You didn't have to solve the Mysteron threat if you could just let Captain Scarlet die, and this quickly becomes wearing.
Captain Scarlet, I sentence you to death.
I understand, sir.
However, as you are indestructible, there'd be little point in standing you up before a firing squad.
I mean, hanging had been more or less abolished in the UK, but this is Supermarionation, they all hang.
A bullet will make you bleed, you will feel the pain, but after a few hours, even a fatal wound will heal completely. Captain Scarlet, you are still virtually indestructible.
Not every episode had Scarlet mortally wounded at the end of the show, but he does have his strings cut in around a third of the 32 episodes of the series, not counting flashbacks. He's killed in a car crash, falls from a great height, crashed, shot, killed by a Mysteron doctor, shot, crashed, shot again, crushed. I mean, I can see an annual employee review not looking all that favourable. Also, Spectrum seems to be a workplace health and safety nightmare. I mean, on paper, their record looks okay, only one death, but that's fudging things somewhat when that same person dies again and again, on average once every 3 weeks.
Do you all understand? Lieutenant Green?
SIG.
Captain Blue?
SIG.
Captain Scarlet?
SIG.
SIG?
Spectrum is green. It means everything is fine.
SIR, spectrum is red, means the opposite.
It sounds kind of cool being indestructible, but the more you watch the show, the more you realise how much it must really suck to be Captain Scarlet. Not every episode had Scarlet mortally wounded at the end. Someone realised what a terrible message this sent to kids, even after they added this warning to the beginning of some episodes.
Captain Scarlet is indestructible. You are not. Remember this. Do not try to imitate him.
As was common with adventure series of the time, the show does not really feature a running story arc, but littered through the episodes are a few shows where Spectrum learns crucial pieces of information regarding the Mysterons, how to detect them, what their weaknesses are, and how to kill them.
You are completely surrounded. Come out with your hands up.
Spectrum might stop the Mysterons' main plot, but the Mysterons score enough victories in their war of nerves for it to be considered a draw.
Well, the Mysterons have won this round, but the fight isn't over yet.
Gerry Anderson never wanted to make films with puppets, and even after all the success his series achieved, what he really wanted to do was make live-action films. By the time of Captain Scarlet, the technology needed to lip-sync the mouths to pre-recorded dialogue had improved to the point where it could be put into a smaller puppet. A lifelike puppet with realistic proportions was now a reality. Though whether having a puppet that looked a little like a reanimated zombie was a help or hindrance is up to the viewer. I mean, Captain Scarlet himself was a reanimated zombie, but still.
I'd like to propose a toast to Spectrum. This time with real champagne.
There's a level of charm and goofy humour missing from the show. It's like having your favourite pet stuffed and discovering that while it will stay, it won't fetch. In the 1960s, the term Uncanny Valley hadn't been coined. Something that's lifelike but still eerily fake. Captain Scarlet is more rough sketch pass.
Very lifelike.
The strings, for so long the bane of Supermarionation, had been hidden in every way possible, from painting them and dusting them, and while it's less obvious than previous series, there's always going to be a string or two on show. On Captain Scarlet, they even resorted to puppets that were controlled from underneath. Marionettes had never managed a convincing human walk, and by Captain Scarlet, the edict was, don't even try.
It's a long walk to Cloud Base.
In Captain Scarlet, walking is shown as a point of view shot, or ignored altogether since so many people get around on travelators, or hovering this, that and the other. Sure, there were a few goofy walking shots, but most of the time the puppets stand around looking rather static. One long-standing Anderson touch was the use of real hands for close-ups, which, while immersion breaking, is part of the charm. When puppets needed different expressions, they would often have a different head, but in Captain Scarlet, they all seem to be constipated. I mean, you'd be constipated if you knew that every mission would end up with you being killed, again and again. Like when Sean Bean shows up. No! I mean, being Captain Blue must also be a little weird. Your best bud, Captain Splat, is indestructible, but always going into dangerous situations where he will probably get squished by a truck. So he's not someone you would want to lend your sunglasses to, but if you lent him $50, he'd probably be good for it.
It's obviously a tremendous problem.
Captain Scarlet was the last great Supermarionation series. It was followed by progressively less enticing formats like Joe 90.
Close enough to kill you, Coletti.
About a 9-year-old who's brainwashed by the government every episode so that he can murder people. And Secret Service, a hybrid live-action puppet series starring a comedian playing a priest who's also a spy. Captain Scarlet's format of an organization fighting an alien menace was more or less the same as Anderson's first fully live-action series UFO, and would again form the basis of Gerry Anderson's early 80s puppet series Terrorhawks.
Terrorhawks, stay on this channel. This is an emergency.
Depending on who you ask, Captain Scarlet is probably a lot of people's second favourite Anderson show after Thunderbirds. In Japan, Anderson's shows have had their own life, and unique model kits from different Anderson series have been available on the Japanese market for decades. Captain Scarlet's Japanese translation scored its own song.
Captain Scarlet!
All of Anderson's shows had a healthy amount of repeat screenings in the UK, and there was a fairly sizable resurgence of interest in his work when the BBC screened many of Anderson's shows to large audiences in the 1990s. Once again, you could buy a decent array of new Captain Scarlet toys. New generations of UK fans could discover Captain Scarlet over and over, which culminated in a fully CG animated series in the 2000s.
Will there be court-martial, Colonel?
No, but one more question like that, Lieutenant, and you will be.
Meanwhile, in Australia, only Thunderbirds ever seemed to get repeated, where I lived at least. And for me, Captain Scarlet was something I'd only ever heard about, but I didn't actually see until my 20s, and only then by importing VHS tapes from the UK. Something I can tell you was really not fun in the days before the internet. I have collected some Captain Scarlet toys over the years, mainly ones released in the 90s and 2000s, and they're generally quite good.
A brave man, and so good looking.
Captain Scarlet is a relatively dark series, not particularly childish, but brutal deaths aside, isn't particularly adult, like that episode of Grange Hill where that kid joined the police force. I do enjoy giving the show a spin every once in a while, for its completely bonkers idea of what would make a good kids show. It's probably a terrible kids show, but it's a puppet show that retains a fascination for adult viewers.
I'm afraid it's goodbye.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.